Tonight, it's a live edition of the Bigfoot Journal, your twice-monthly Bigfoot news update. What happened and what's ahead in Bigfoot research and news, only on the Untold Radio Network. The Bigfoot Journal is live. With your host, Mike Luci.
Alrighty, let's do this. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to episode 15 of the Bigfoot Journal, your bi-weekly update on what happened and what's ahead in the Bigfoot world. Mike Luci here, your host of the show. So let's see here. Got some of the usuals in the chat. And Mr. Synthpants, D. Mitchell, what's going on, guys? Thanks for tuning in. So, as you can see, we're kind of doing something a little different than what we usually do. Usually we do the whole pre-recorded show. We're doing this one. This is our first live stream. It's just me right now handling things. But I should be joined by Charlie at some point in a little bit. Fortunately, Chris was supposed to join us, but had something last minute pop up, and Toby's a little busy, so. Otherwise, yeah, got a few things that we just want to go over. Reason why we're doing a live stream instead of our normal typical pre-recorded show is just because I have a couple of announcements that I want to make. You know, what's going on with the show and how things are going to be panning out over the next one to two months or so. And we also got a pretty big announcement that I think you will find pretty interesting. So with that said, let's get to it. Okay, so first thing I wanted to do, I just wanted to give everyone just a bit of like a layout of how things are going to pan out from between now and probably until the second week in June or so. So we got this live stream. As you know, we typically have our pre-recorded episodes every 2 weeks or so. As of now, our next pre-recorded episode, the regular one that we do, we're shooting for Friday, April 4th, 7:15 p.m. Eastern, so 2 weeks from now. After that, I'm going to be traveling for pretty much most of the first 2 weeks in April. I'll you know, get to some of that in a little bit because it kind of pertains to what we're doing. We're going to have our premiere of Deep Searches. That's either going to be on the 18th or the 25th. And that kind of ties into the big announcement I'm going to be making about the show. And yeah, so that's kind of what April looks like. In May, the first weekend in May, Chuck, Toby, and myself will be traveling to OBC, the Ohio Bigfoot Conference in Ohio, and so, you know, we're doing that. Obviously, if any of you guys plan to be there, you see us, definitely stop and say hi. So, you know, we're pretty stoked about it. I know Charlie's been to that event a few times before. He's had nothing but really good things to say about it. Pretty much everyone I talked to has really nothing but good things to say about OBC. This is going to be my first time going, so I'm actually pretty stoked about it. Everyone I talk to about it says it's just supposed to be like the Bigfoot event of the year. Like if you're going to go to anything, you're able to get there, you go to OBC. So we'll be doing that. So otherwise, after that, after the April 4th premiere, and after our April 4th pre-recorded, our next, business as usual pre-recorded episode is. Our next pre-recorded episode, it's either going to be May 9th or May 16th. That's probably going to hinge on just where I'm at after I get back from Ohio, because I'm sure as many of you know, we gotta write the script for the show, we gotta record, do the video editing. It literally takes me like the entire 2 weeks in between each one to just get all that done. So we'll see where we're at with that. And then I'll be traveling Memorial Day weekend. I'm not too sure exactly where I'm going to be going. My guess it's probably going to be at a location. I'll be with people. I'm going to do something squatching related. So that's what that'll. So that's what that'll be. If I do anything pertaining to the show about that, I'll definitely keep everyone posted. And then after Memorial Day weekend, our next pre-recorded show after that will either be that Friday, the June 6th or 13th. Again, just depends where I'm at after I get back from, wherever I want to go on Memorial Day weekend. So just wanted to fill you guys in on what our schedule is going to look like for the next 2 or so months. And then, after that first or second Friday in June, it should be business as usual. So, obviously these dates are going to be, subject to change. And in between, in addition to everything I just mentioned, in between now and that first or second week in June, we'll try to, in addition to the pre-recorded stuff, the premiere for the deep searches, we're going to get into that in a second. We'll try to work in, maybe 1, maybe 2 more live streams, and potentially, if things go according to plan, in addition to our, our projected premiere, I'll try to get another second episode of deep searches. So, on to that. That is the big announcement I have. So later on in April, we're going to be doing a kind of like an extension, special, kind of like a special type feature of the Bigfoot Journal. It's going to be a new thing called Deep Searches. So it's basically going to be like an extension, special feature type part of the show. It's just going to start taking deeper dives into the episode segments and just some other topics that we researched separately, instead of the whole segmented 30 to 39 minute format that our regular episodes have. These are going to be more longer, full length. They're going to be more documentarian style type episodes. So ideally anything from like 40 to 60 or so minutes. They're going to feature a lot of, they're going to focus on like a particular topic, angle, story, something like that. They're going to focus mainly on, they're going to feature like research, data analysis, on-site coverage. So it's going to be a lot of like boots on the ground type stuff, field tests, investigations. And, if I'm able to, I'll try and get some interviews with any witnesses or experts on said topic or whatever that we're going to be doing. And so, with that, there's obviously going to be a lot of like contingencies, like, travel, opportunity to travel, investigations, topic opportunities and stuff like that. Ideally, I'll attempt to pump out at least one of these, deep searches, new episode, ideally every 1 to 3 months. That's obviously the minimum I'm going to be shooting for. Hopefully I could get, hopefully I could like stay above that threshold, but that's kind of what we're, that's kind of what I'm aiming at right now. So that's that. I'm definitely really excited about it, because even dating back to This Week in Bigfoot, like, I love what we do. Myself, a lot of people I spoke to, as far as feedback goes, they always say it's definitely a unique niche, unique topic that we're doing. No one else is really doing it. Just, the whole like newscast style type coverage thing. But as though my real passion for this stuff, I love just being out in the field, out in the woods, doing boots on the ground type investigation stuff. So by bringing in this whole deep searches idea and making that, special features, extension type part of the show, that's going to start working that in more often. And that was definitely something, like, back when we did This Week in Bigfoot, we always, like Brendan and I, we always pondered, every now and then, like, how can we start working more of that in? It's just, it never really came to fruition. So once we started, things started lifting off the ground here with the Bigfoot Journal, that was a topic I kind of revisited, bounced some ideas off of people. So, I'm definitely excited to get things going. And I don't know about you guys, but I came up with the name Deep Searches. I love the name. I think it's a pretty badass name. So hoping that'll resonate with everyone. And we got the live chat. You guys have any questions, comments, or anything like that, just feel free to drop them. Depending on what I'm doing, I'll definitely stop and take a look at them, answer them, and we'll go from there. So that's kind of what we're doing with deep searches. So like I said, so everything's going to be contingent on the travel schedule. So our I wanted to just shed a little bit of light on what our the series premiere, this first episode, is going to look like. Obviously, it's going to be contingent on travel schedule and, most importantly, weather conditions, just because this is going to require a lot of outside stuff. But the premiere episode, if you guys, I don't know how many of you have seen episode 13 of the Bigfoot Journal, but for the report roundup, the You Decide segment I did, it covered that that weird video the turkey hunter supposedly took in Hancock, Maryland, back in April 2012. This is episode 13, Report Roundup, the You Decide segment, just to reiterate if you want to go back and check that out. But anyway, in the weeks since I did all my research on that segment, since I dropped it, I actually found out a ton of new information about the video, both good and bad. So basically, I'm going to be touching on that a little bit. I got to keep kind of like obviously, I got to keep tight-lipped about what I found out about it. But I'm going to reveal some new information about that video. I'm going to pretty much visit the area where it happened. I'm just going to determine if the surrounding area could, support or hide a Sasquatch, whether it's, a potential population that migrates or stays in the area, or if it could even just support, a Sasquatch, if it could potentially support a Sasquatch that just like moves through, if it could, move through undetected. I'm going to examine the local history of Bigfoot reports, found a good amount of that, surprisingly, and I'm going to conduct some field tests, try to do some recreations, just try and clarify a few details about the footage, and depending on weather, I'm going to try and pull off a possible night ops as well. So yeah, that's what's going to be, so that's the plan for that. I'll obviously keep everyone updated depending on how things go or if things change. So just to touch on that a little bit, I don't know about any of you guys, but this footage, the part of Maryland it happened in Washington County, Maryland. If you look at a map, it's basically Maryland's western panhandle, and it's like this little sliver of land that juts out west into the Greater Appalachians, and it separates Pennsylvania from West Virginia. So you think, at face value, if you think of Maryland, most people, probably seems like one of the last places you'd expect any types of cryptids to be, let alone a Bigfoot. But the state surprisingly has a very decorated, very well-documented history of Bigfoot and cryptid reports. Just aside from the Hancock, Maryland footage, we have, there's the Sykesville Monster, they have the Dwayyo, that's like Maryland's equivalent of the Dogman. They have this thing called the Snaggle Beast or something like that, some weird reptilian-y thing. Kind of like glossed it over while I was doing my research for this, so that looked cool. Chesapeake Bay, they got Chessie, the Maryland Goatman. And surprisingly with Maryland too, they have like two crazy concentrations of areas where there've just been like a ton of Bigfoot reports over the years. There's like Prince George County, I think it's called, in southern Maryland. There's a ton of them throughout the 70s and 80s, and like northeastern Maryland, kind of like Baltimore County. I think Baltimore County, or like northeast of it, that northeast section. There's been a ton, pretty much like the same time frame, like 70s, 80s. But that western panhandle of Maryland. Like I said, I guess the best way to describe it, it's pretty much like a part of Maryland, and it shouldn't even be part of Maryland. My opinion, it should definitely, it's definitely like if you're there, you think it should definitely be more of like part of like southern Pennsylvania or West Virginia or something like that. Like literally the narrowest part of the Maryland Western Panhandle. Incidentally, it's kind of it's where Hancock, Maryland's at. As the crow flies, it's literally only like 2 or 3 miles wide. That's how much it separates Pennsylvania from West Virginia. So I'm definitely super stoked. Maryland's actually one state, in the Northeast I've yet to do any type of squatching or anything Bigfoot related. So I'm definitely really excited about going down there. I obviously really hope that the weather holds up. So that's pretty much everything I got. I guess before we get into the news and updates part, the news coverage, everything like that. In addition to everything I announced, I forgot to add this into the PowerPoint, but moving forward for the pre-recorded episodes, I'm going to see how this format plays out. There's a chance I might start tweaking the format of the show again. Instead of just having us, like our stupid faces on screen, go back and forth to the B-roll. I want to see what happens if we have just, I want to see how it goes pre-recorded if we do something like this. Like we have our faces to the side of the screen, have a few notes right there, some pictures. Maybe every now and then we'll switch just, to do some like B-roll that takes up the full screen. So Definitely give me your feedback on that. Let me know what you guys, let me know how you guys like the idea of that. I'm definitely going to go back, revisit this episode, see how that goes, and yeah, we'll go from there. I guess the other thing too I wanted to touch on before I get into the actual news coverage, the actual segments I have planned, is I have had a few people. They've been asking, where Toby's been at. He was in episode 13, 14. He's on around today. All is well with Toby. He's still in the mix. He'll be back probably for our next episode. He's just had a lot going on at once. All good. He just moved recently, started a new job. He still has school, so he had all that hit him at once. He's just taking a little bit of time off, but spoke to him a few times this week. There's actually a chance. We're still kind of semi-coordinating. There's actually a chance that I potentially might be meeting up with him for a few days when I go to the Appalachians in April. So hopefully we'll be able to link up and maybe get some good footage out in the field. We'll be able to feature in future episode segments and hopefully a second Deep Searches episode. Because in addition to everything I'm doing for the Maryland episode, I'm hoping the other places I'm going in the Appalachians in August, I could, I'm working on a few potential angles. I'm hoping maybe I could do enough research, gather enough data, visit enough locations, do enough filming and investigating to, potentially throw together a second episode. So we'll see how that goes. So yeah, that's everything I got with the announcements and updates. Let's see here, got a few comments. It's good, Mike. Awesome. Thanks, D. Mitchell. Appreciate you, brother. Just calculus. Who are you talking about, MSP? You're talking about Bert? Hold on. Talking about that Bigfoot right there? That's Bert. Yeah, in case you guys didn't know, on our graphics, this is the Bigfoot we have on our graphic, and yeah, that's Bert the Bigfoot. He's the man. And all right, look who decided to join us. You're alive, Charlie.
Oh, hey, what's going on? Hey, Mike, how are you?
Yeah,
Let me take my glasses off here.
Good.
How you doing? Hey, listen, sorry about that. Route 80 is just a real pain in the...
All good, all good. We actually got a pretty decent crowd in the chat right now. I got about 19, 20 people watching us right now. So.
Oh yeah, let me tune into that. So I just said hello.
Yeah, so I'll say hi to everyone.
I did say hi to everyone.
But
so, yeah, what a day.
I feel that. I heard there was actually a second sinkhole that just opened up on I-80.
Yeah, on the westbound side, westbound side. Both sides of Route 8 are shut down now. Today there was there's one in on 287. That was a sinkhole in 287. So I'm thinking that a little bit suspicious now. A little bit, I don't know, man.
Because this is like the second or third one in the last few months.
Third one in like 6-7 weeks. Yeah, probably about a couple months. But the one on Route 287 though, it's like a perfect circle. So that doesn't sound like a mine shaft, collapsing. That sounds like someone might be doing something here. I don't know.
Yeah,
they might be doing it throughout the whole thing. I
saw this one little blurb in an article. Someone was saying like the ground under these parkways, and they describe it as being like Swiss cheese.
Oh yeah, yeah. There's where that is. We're on Route 80. That is. Mm-hmm. It's right by where Picatinny Arsenal is, and I don't know if people are familiar with Picatinny Arsenal, but that's where they came out. That's where it's a research and development installation, and that's actually where they invented the Patriot missile. So, but back in the day, it was an ammunitions place. Mm-hmm. So that whole ridge, like right where for like 10 miles north of it and like 10, 15 miles south of it, it was very rich in iron ore. So they were all iron ore mines, and they were mining them to make ammunitions for World War I and World War II.
Oh wow!
Mm-hmm. But then the geniuses decided to put a major highway. There's actually 3 major highways. There's Route 10, there's Route 46, then Route 80, all crisscrossing over these mines. that were now defunct.
I know them all too well. I mean, when I lived in Morris County in Bud Lake, I used to take
Mhm.
to my job in Rockaway. We used to get crushed in traffic. So.
Oh, you live here? I didn't know. How long ago did you live here?
What, in Jersey?
Yeah.
About a year and a half, from 2017 to like end of 2018. Then I moved out to Minnesota in the year. Then I came back to crap in New York.
Oh, wow.
Circle.
Damn. Wow,
Yep.
that's pretty fucking cool. I didn't know that. They were neighbors.
Yeah. So I mean, this is before I met you. Before I met you, the CRC and everything like that. But yeah, man,
Mhm.
at another point in time that would have been perfect. But yeah, just fill you in real quickly. I just spent the first 20 or so minutes just updating everyone on what things are going to look like for the next 1 to 2 months. Filled everyone in on deep searches. So
Yeah, that sounds like that's going to be a cool project and cool addition to this to the show, man. And yeah, hopefully I could join you on a couple of those
oh, you will.
investigations and howdy, Bigfoot. Oh,
Bigfoot NY Todd. He's a yeah,
oh, NY
yeah.
Todd.
I've actually spoken to him a couple of times. He's based in Western New York, which I've said time and time.
Oh,
In my opinion, it's definitely one of the more underrated areas for Bigfoot history and for like potential Bigfoot environments, potential Sasquatch sightings, and everything like that. So
oh, I definitely think it's underrated too because you got the Alleghenies right there. It's basically west of the Allegheny, right?
um
Allegheny State Park. Well, it's State Park in New York, right? It's not.
yeah, Allegheny State Park. Yeah, we were there 5 years ago when we got the
Yeah.
well, actually it's pretty ironic. That expedition where we got the sugar run house in Allegheny National Forest.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like I kind of planned it mostly, and we were originally just supposed to focus on Allegheny State Park because I just figured, well, Allegheny National Forest, everyone knows about it, but we'll pay our tributes, do our due diligence, have one night there, and then I turned out to be the one where we got probably the most compelling potential audio evidence I've ever gotten.
Yeah, that was a nice hit.
Yep. So definitely
Very
ultimate
nice hit.
irony. And the only thing that kind of sucked was the weather was pretty. The weather was really bad for
Yeah.
that trip, and I actually found some like phenomenal spots on the New York side of Allegheny that I definitely want to return to and revisit.
Well, what's the name of that trail that goes east to west? Right? There's another trail that goes east to west.
Which we were near in Allegheny National. Yeah, it's the North Country Trail. It's basically
North Country.
like the Appalachian Trail of northern U.S. It starts in the Adirondacks and it goes all the way across. I think one of the Dakotas it stops in. But yeah, we're only the spot we were at where we recorded the Sugar and Howls. We were only, I think, a few miles away from the North Country Trail because originally what I wanted to do was physically go on the North Country Trail and investigate. Brendan was like, like it's such a heavily trafficked trail, the area it's in. Maybe we shouldn't. Maybe we should like investigate, like indirectly investigate it, check out, poke around
Yeah.
areas that, like are around it or near it, not directly on it, and
Mm-hmm.
wound up working out for the best.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, that's if it's like the Appalachian of the east to west, then yeah, Western New York is right there. You know what I mean? It could be a highway for them to go from the Allegheny, National
Well, yeah, I mean,
Park/State Park to
yeah.
west to out by we also got Letchworth State Park out there, which is gorgeous. You
Oh,
got
yeah.
all those.
I've been there a bunch of times. Even like the Finger Lakes has a good amount of sighting, Bigfoot reports and high strangeness and stuff like that.
I can
So,
see that. Well, you got all those. You got all the grape vineyards over there, and I mean that's easy food.
oh yeah.
Yeah. That's a no-brainer.
All right. So with that, let's get into
Joining us tonight, or
what's up.
is Chris joining us tonight, or?
So unfortunately, he had something last minute pop up, but I spoke to him. He called me, wished me well, and it was kind of funny. I was thinking, you know what? This just underscores why I prefer doing the whole pre-recorded thing over live. I mean, like nothing against live. Love live. Definitely like the live shows. I think this one's going pretty good so far, but when last minute issues like that arise, you just got to deal. You just got to deal with them. You don't have that type of flexibility like you do with what we normally do. So, all right.
Well, let's do this, bro.
Okay, so let me know. Let me know how this looks, Charlie. Definitely, people tuning in. Let me know how this looks. But I'm gonna play the bumpers to separate each segment. Just want to know how you think it flows. If it's too cheesy to do live, we should jump into it. But forget. Here we go.
News and updates are now.
Hey, might as well keep it, man. If it's not broken, don't fix it. Right?
Okay. Yep. All right. So before we get into before we get into this first particular topic, just want to throw out a quick disclaimer, just given the nature of some of the subject matter. Just want everyone to know the coverage in the segment we're about to do. It's only intended to summarize the specific details and events of just the specific incident we're about to cover. The following content neither endorses nor opposes any events, allegations, or narratives that it mentions. So just want to throw that out there. And New York, Todd, Connecticut Hill. I believe that's actually, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe that's New York State's biggest wildlife management area. And I think there was one researcher who had a pretty harrowing encounter in Connecticut Hill back in either 2017, it was between 2017 and 2019. And apparently this guy got so scared, I forget his name, but he literally left a bunch of his equipment at the spot, just bounced. So that's that's a Connecticut Hill in the Finger Lakes region. And before we get into the segment, pretty cool thing too about the Finger Lakes, Charlie. Did you know that the Finger Lake region, it's actually home to New York State's only national forest?
Really?
Mm-hmm. Finger Lakes National Forest.
Huh? How big is it? That can't be that big.
No. It's like super small. Apparently, I don't know, New York Todd, if you could chime in on this, but one particular story I heard about the Finger Lake, about the Finger Lake region, as far as like high ranges and Bigfoot activity. Supposedly, there's this thing called known by locals as the Alpine Portal, and it's kind of like some of these like Bridgewater Triangle, Bennington Triangle, just like a hub of high ranges. Like pretty much has everything there is: ghosts, cryptids, UFOs, portals, weird energy phenomena. I haven't been able to find anything like research wise. I've been able to is very far in between. Really scarce info out there. But one thing I do remember seeing though was they had supposedly there was like a family of migratory Sasquatch that go through the area.
Really?
Again, I just saw this just on like one or two things. Yeah. Info was pretty scant on that. Okay, so let's get into this. So I don't know how many of you are. I don't know how many of you are aware of this, but on Saturday, March 15th, there was a anti-government protest in Serbia, in the capital city of Belgrade. And basically, what's going on is Serbian opposition officials and human rights groups, they're claiming that the Serbian government used a military-grade sonic weapon during these anti-government protests on that day, March 15th. It's pretty much described as like a acoustic sound cannon. Basically, what it's designed to do, it's designed to emit this beam that's supposed to incapacitate targets. These kinds of weapons are they're supposed to be banned, supposed to be illegal. And I guess the one particular detail that a lot of people have found, are getting pretty sketched out about is Serbian officials, they're denying the allegations. Well, no, Serbian officials, they're number one, they're denying that, they had any part of it, that this happened. But at the same time, though, they're also, they're denying that they did this, what they're being accused of. But at the same time, they did not say that these weapons weren't in their possession. So take that for what you will.
Well, first of all, they definitely have it in possession. That's the one thing, because all governments have more stuff than they're talking about. So I'm sure they have it. and I'm sure
Yeah.
they've used it a bunch of times.
Nothing would surprise me at this point. Just want to check something with my camera. There we go. It's much better. Okay. Okay. Yeah, so we're kind of like balancing two different topics up here. That's one of the things I actually love about the live streams. Yeah, Connecticut Hill. If I ever make it out to that area, that's definitely one place I want to hit. I heard about the haunted cemetery. That I didn't know that UFOs were Air Force investigated UFO incidents up there. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But I think it just underscores too just how much high strangeness, not just Western New York, but just upstate New York in general.
Yeah.
So. It's just the same weapon we use because it's the pirates. Not 100% sure. I think I know what Kenny's talking about, but didn't really touch on that. But anyway, so before we continue, I just want to play some footage. One of the things was like supposedly you're supposed to hear like some weird sound in the video. Just I did have to remove the audio, unfortunately, just because like fair use and all that. But
I was wondering. I'm like, I couldn't. I was like playing it like 15 times. Like, I can't hear anything.
So I'm gonna play this. So here's what happened. So you got the crowd there. Notice how everyone just seems to part.
They split apart. Yeah, look at that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So and then this is just like a second video. So I'll play it one more time.
That's crazy.
But yeah, the weird thing though is just the way they part and just like the shape of like that gap. It, in my opinion, definitely ties into the whole. Like it definitely gives credence to just like how this so-called sonic cannon functions. A beam. That definitely makes sense there, right? Like, what do you think, Charlie?
Oh, definitely. There's probably some. Besides vibrations, there's probably like a strong breeze too that comes with it too. They're probably, so they probably felt something, and then they probably felt like a strong like breeze, and they're like, oh no, let me get out of here.
So that's actually a good segue into the next part here. And no kidding.
What's that?
Yeah, so this guy Nate, I think his name was, he commented on our Facebook group, and he commented on some of our YouTube videos talking about the Sugar Run House. I guess the video that Brendan put together a few years ago. And he actually said he investigated that area himself. I did not know that New York Cotto was the one that he investigated that area with. That's awesome, man.
Oh wow.
Yeah, damn.
That's fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, Todd. When we spoke, when we spoke on the phone like a month or two ago, if I had known that, that I definitely would have brought that up. That's awesome. Okay, so good segue. So yeah, as you saw in the video, the crowd just suddenly dispersed. People are scrambling for cover after they heard that strange sound that I previously mentioned, and people. Some of the symptoms that people in the crowd reported were sharp ear pain, disorientation, dizziness, panic, nausea. Sound familiar?
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
To start bringing things full circle, if you're all wondering, well, why are we talking about this on a Bigfoot show? Well, shortly after this incident happened, as you could see, this was brought up. This footage wound up, news about it wound up popping up on the Bigfoot subreddit. Mr. Synthpants, for those who don't know, he's actually a moderator on that subreddit, so he might be able to chime in on this. But apparently it looks like the content was restricted by the moderators for one reason or another. But you look at those, like if you're wondering how this whole thing pertains to Bigfoot, why news about this even showed up on the Bigfoot subreddit in the first place. You look at the symptoms I just described. What is that like? Just offhand, people in the chat, Charlie, like, what does that remind you of?
Infrasound, right? You're getting zapped. Yep. The only thing though, because I thought my experience. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna say that was literally one of the things that one of the first things that people brought up. As you could see in some of those comments, infrasound, getting zapped. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's actually it's too bad that Toby couldn't be on this because he claimed that he believes he's experienced the whole zapping phenomena twice, and the most recent time I saw it firsthand. I was literally with him when it happened. Like I remember seeing the transformation on his face
Mm-hmm.
happen. That was in Mammoth Cave National Park in Kentucky last May. And then yeah, I
Oh,
remember you had your own experience. Well, yeah, what were you about to say about that?
Clinton Road. The only thing, I mean, everything besides the ear, I didn't have the ear pain, but everything else, and the panic. Well, the only panic was me trying to find a place to pull over so I could puke. But but it was the nausea, the dizziness, the not knowing, everything besides those two other items. But yeah, that I could definitely see how it correlates between the two. And just to take it to the next step, Mike, with everyone have all these countries having this technology, does that add, credence to maybe they have some Bigfoots in captivity where they could, find out about this techno, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Learn about infrasound and use it to as a weapon. You know what I mean? Because you say other large animals have it too, like rhinos and elephants. But who knows? Maybe they got Area 51 or Area 52's got some Bigfoots there where they're doing research on this stuff.
And to D. Mitchell's point, I guess you could see why this like struck such a chord in the Bigfoot community.
Mm-hmm.
Mitchell makes a great,
Yep.
great point. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, obviously, as you can see with these comments, people pick up on it immediately. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so for those who aren't familiar, I'm just give a quick textbook definition on what infrasound is. So infrasound, it's basically sound waves that are below human hearing range. So anything below 20 hertz. Hope I got that unit of measurement right. So it's just basically sounds that we can't hear. But
Mm-hmm.
but they still kind of like mess with us though, physically, psychologically. People with prolonged exposure to infrasound, they've described physical and psychological effects like headache, nausea, dizziness, ear pain, and just extreme feelings of apprehension, fear, anxiety, anger. Again,
Mm-hmm.
those basically match everything that the people in the at the Belgrade protest,
Yeah.
have reported, and
Yep.
yeah, they're pretty synonymous with just symptoms that people who claim they were zapped have experienced as well.
Just on a side note, if, I don't know if you want to be hitting protesters with something that's going to make them angry. You know what I mean? I can see the
Well,
fear and anxiety part, but you
mhm.
really don't want to get like 10,000 people angry because then you're screwed. But
Yeah, no,
just my
no,
2 cents. My
no,
two
I feel
cents.
that.
Hmm.
I think overall, I think overall, that even like with the anger, like the whole infrasound thing, that stuff, it's literally designed to like inhibit you, though. So like you're not
Mm-hmm.
act rash. I just think it's it's kind of more of just like a crowd control, crowd dispersal
Mm-hmm.
device. But yeah, I think for the most part, those feelings of fear and anxiety are definitely more like dominant ones. But yeah, definitely a good point. So, as Charlie, as you previously mentioned, there are several, there's several animals who, utilize infrasound mainly to communicate, but there are several large mammals that reportedly use it to communicate and hunt. So, you touched on them before, Charlie, some of them before. Elephants,
Mm-hmm.
rhinos, giraffes, whales, tigers, and lions apparently use them to hunt. And most interestingly, I didn't think this was the case at first, but looks like it is. Gorillas.
Mm-hmm.
So, let's see here. Just got a few comments. That's interesting. Where's your hunting lodge again, Todd? I think I told you when I hunt in Western New York. I'm in Allegheny County. I'm like 20 minutes outside of Wellsville. Which I remember when we spoke, he said there was like there was a recent sighting in Wellsville, kind of around the time when we spoke. So that that was pretty cool. And hey, Matthew, what's going on, bud? This is the first part of the Sonic Cannon, military microwave tech. Yeah, Yeah, the whole like microwave ray gun weapon I've heard of before as well. I think like the U.S. military, they were like messing around with that technology somewhere like the Middle East, Afghanistan, or something like that. So
Weren't like the I used to watch that whaling, the whale show. It was on Animal Planet when they were trying to stop all the illegal whaling. I think the
oh,
Japanese
Whale
was it Whale
Wars.
Wars or
Yeah, yeah,
something?
yeah, Whale Wars. Yeah,
Whale Wars. But I think the Japanese whaling ships had something like that similar too that they were using, you know, to keep the protesters away. So I mean, that's it's definitely out there. This is probably more refined though. I don't think that one was like a cannon. I think that was just a loud, just loud noise
yeah,
that they were.
yeah, that shit was scripted though. Come on.
But that, oh yeah, well they all are.
So anyway, so yeah, so just kind of to continue bring things full circle, the Belgrade incident, kind of underscores how it's a textbook example of those physical and psychological effects that infrasound reportedly has on humans.
Mm-hmm.
So with with evidence that gorillas use infrasound, there's actually one or two scientific studies in the last 15, 20 years or so where they've supposedly been observed using infrasound. I'm not sure. I don't think I added them in this video's description. I should have added those articles in the video's description because I came across them doing my research for this segment. But it begs the question: could Sasquatches also possess this capability? And just looking at the similarities and symptoms, those parallels. Since you experienced this yourself firsthand, Charlie, you could start answering these two questions. How much backing do you think this gives to the alleged connection between Bigfoot and the whole zapping phenomena?
It gives a lot of backing to it, and um, that's and like you said, it's too bad Toby wasn't on there so he could share his experience. But I definitely think they use it, and with the correlation between the gorillas and the elephants and the rhinos, maybe that leans, makes it have Sasquatch lean more towards flesh and blood, and you know what I mean. So I'll just leave that out there and not
I feel that.
let that simmer and ruminate. Hmm.
I feel that.
But
But I guess that's the thing too. Like, I guess it could be ambiguously interpreted. Some people might think that the whole infrasound zapping phenomena, it's evidence of a supernatural, paranormal quality with squatches, but others think it has more scientific roots.
that would make gorillas supernatural and paranormal, right?
Yeah, but like the thing though is, like with gorillas, we know that gorillas exist. We know, like we know they're like an actual living
Right.
flesh and blood creature. We don't got that with
Hmm.
squatches, so that's why
No.
there's all that wiggle room to kind of like skew anything like that might have a scientific explanation. If you dig deeper, just dismiss it as some type of like weird paranormal or supernatural feature or something like that.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I know he isn't here, Toby, but I'll definitely tell you like my point of view from like that specific aspect of it. We were at like this there's like this boat ramp that took cars kind of like one by one across the Green River in Mammoth Cave National Park.
Hmm.
It was like 1 in the morning. It was just me and him. We'd met up with some people. Toby's Mimi, his grandmother, she couldn't come with us because, she didn't want him coming with us because she did something to her knee or her ankle, so she stayed back at camp. So it was just me and Toby. We
Hmm.
met up with some people, and we kind of like wrapped things up a little early. And it was like I think it was either 11 or 1 o'clock, but it was relatively early for
Hmm.
squatching. And we're kind of like it's kind of early. You still want to poke around, go somewhere? They're like, yeah. So he's like, yeah. So we went back to this boat ramp. We were there earlier. We were there earlier that day. They were showing me it. So so it's like if you look like directly overhead, like a bird's eye view, you have the parking lot, then you have the boat ramp. It kind of like descends.
Hmm.
You got the river, and then you have the little like ferry thing that takes the cars across. So
Hmm.
we parked Toby's car. We poked around down at the dirt, down the boat ramp for a bit, but we wound up going up to this pier and just posting up there. We had both had our thermals out, and the weather was weird. It was kind of muggy out. Like there's like a lingering fog, but the sky was pretty clear. So we both had our thermals, and we're looking around through the thermals, and on our side of the river we saw like this deer, and I guess like we made enough noise to kind of scampered away. We saw like another deer across the river, and when we were poking around, we just heard these like splooshy, splashy noises. It's kind of like a kerplunk, kind of like, when like someone like, like first puts their foot in like water, that like kerplunk sound, kind of like that. And they were coming from two different locations, like more upstream and then like directly in front of us. Now we couldn't see the riverbank directly in front of us because we were kind of like on that pier. But the riverbank, though, there was like all these thick brush and reeds that prevented our view, kind of like cut off our view from seeing what was there.
Sure.
So, quick side note. Toby thought that, like, what if it's something on 2 feet walking through the river? I thought, it's possible. I'm sure there's a more feasible explanation for it. We wound up going back there that next night, and a little upriver, I saw probably the biggest. This thing was like prehistoric size, biggest beaver I've ever seen in my life.
Really?
This thing was friggin' huge, and I remember when I was trying to like pull my phone out. I was on like this like catwalk or bridge or whatever. It was like directly below me. I was trying to pull my phone out. I was trying to win a red light on and try and get a picture or a video of it. I couldn't get it out in time. This thing just like slapped its tail, went right down under. So I thought to myself, well, that more or less probably debunks those splashing sounds we heard. Now, Toby disagrees. He thinks, oh, well, I might have heard those sounds. It could have been beavers, but I also heard something else. So, him and I kind of like agree to disagree on that specific detail, but I digress. So we had that going on. Anyway, we started hearing like these like rustlings, these rustling sounds too. I forget if it was across the river or to the side of us. I think we were both. But Toby was like, do you care if I do like a howl or a call? I'm like, yeah, man, go for it. So he does like an aggressive call, kind of like a
yeah.
So he does that, get no response, and things kind of just continue as usual. So, and throughout the night we were just like looking at each other and making small talk and stuff like that. But after he did that call, like 10-ish minutes passed by, and I'm just doing my thing, therming, just looking around. But I noticed like I don't hear Toby walking around, and I noticed he's being like he was just like uncharacteristically quiet. So I turned to him, and I didn't say nothing, but like I just gave him that look like, is everything okay? And he looks at me. He's like, I think we should go.
Oh wow.
I have a feeling. He's like, if we stay here, I think something really bad's gonna happen. And Toby.
Yeah.
Toby. I've known Toby for a few years. Been out. I've been out in the woods with him before. There's definitely
he's pretty fearless. He's pretty fearless.
And there's definitely a good amount that we agree to disagree with on this field, but he's not a very emotional person. Again, we have there's definitely a lot we agree to disagree with, but he's very level-headed, very grounded when he's out in the field. But when he said that, I could tell. I saw it in his eyes, his face. I heard it in his voice, his body language. Like this kid was terrified. And we wound up leaving. A few other weird things happened that night. It's not really relevant to the specific part of the story, so I'm not gonna touch. I'm not really gonna touch on that stuff. But we went up driving back. He was in such bad shape that like 10-15 minutes away from the campground, he had to pull over. I had to drive his truck back.
Oh wow.
That's how messed up he was. So we got to the campground. We both go to bed. It was like 3 a.m. we got back. When I woke up, we woke up the next day. We're sitting at the table to recap. I'm like, you okay, bud? And he looks at me. He goes, after we went to bed, I got up and I was like throwing up all night.
Oh wow.
Yeah. He just looks at me dead in the eye. He goes, I think I got zapped.
Yeah.
And before this, so before this, I mean, before this whole infrasound thing, before I even knew that, before I even knew that gorillas were capable of, you know, utilizing infrasound, I really had no opinion on the whole zapping phenomena. And I still really don't, because I still kind of have like some reservations about it. But
until it happens to you, though.
Yeah,
right?
so that's the thing though, because like if it's if it's even like an infrasound, like a sound wave, like correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not really a big sound person or physics or nothing like that, but don't sound waves, don't they shoot out and they kind of like permeate, expand? So my thing was, if it happened to Toby, how come I wasn't affected?
Right. Unless it was that pin, unless it was that directed, maybe it was a smaller, you know, pinpoint, and then all of a sudden it just kind of just hit Toby. You know what I mean? As it spread out, it just got Toby. You know what I mean? Because you figure if it's coming from one being, it's not coming from a cannon that's probably 18, 20, 2 feet wide. If it's coming from a mouth that's probably about 9, 10 inches wide, 8 inches wide, it's going to be a smaller, more direct. And as it spreads out, it's only going to be about a foot and a half. You know what I mean? Instead of having a wider range. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel that. I feel that. I mean, one of the things, I mean, yeah, I guess like one of the things I thought of, this is just something that like other people brought up as well, is they think, well, maybe it's just like a matter of susceptibility. Maybe some people are more vulnerable and susceptible to it. So maybe someone like you, someone like Toby, you're probably more sensitive to something like that. Someone like me, I'm not. But
Could be.
before I even before I even knew about that link with apparently gorillas are able to utilize infrasound, one of my theories was, incidentally, this ties back to Gorilla Connection. Oh, wow, that's interesting. Need.
What?
Right, migraines. Interesting.
Oh wow.
So one of the things that I kind of pondered was, well, gorillas, because like people say Bigfoot stink and stuff, the bad smell and stuff like that. Well, gorillas, they emit pheromones. I think to myself, well, what if maybe with the whole infrasound thing, I mean, with the whole like zapping thing, maybe it's not so much infrasound, but maybe what if it's some kind of like pheromone that the squatches release that
Maybe.
Affects people like that. So
It could be. That could be. Yeah.
yeah.
But
So
that,
anyway,
if it's that, if it was a pheromone, then you would have experienced it too, though. You know what I mean?
I get that.
Because it's one thing. If it's something like smells, it tends to be wider. You know what I mean? You're not going to just have you smell it and not me. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Because if it's coming from, the body, that's a larger mass that's letting
No,
the
I
pheromone
feel that.
out.
I mean, it's possible. It's possible too, though, that maybe it's just some kind of like odorless pheromone that pheromone, however you say it, that just makes people like experience some of those symptoms. And again, going back to the whole infrasound thing, maybe what if that's the case? What if like the infrasound though is just a matter of susceptibility? Maybe some people are more sensitive to it, others aren't.
You are from New York. You do live kind of close to Manhattan, so you're probably used to a lot of smells that people like me out in the country aren't.
I'm saying, what are you talking about? You're in dirty Jersey, bro.
Hey, I'm in the wooded area, dirty Jersey.
Yeah, true.
It's like in the Small Town Monsters, show. It's not. I'm not in the Sopranos part of the New Jersey.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, anyone out there, if you ever get a chance, definitely check out the Skyline Sasquatch Appalachian Bigfoot Files episode. It features yours truly and Charlie. We just go into the whole history of Bigfoot reports throughout North Jersey. Touch on the whole Pedals the Bear story. I thought it came out great.
Yeah, no, Alex is great. He's a talented man. If he can make me look halfway decent, man, he's got talent. That
Oh,
boy.
dude, you stole the show. Actually,
Yeah.
actually, I had two separate people say to me it was good, Mike. You did good, but you sounded like an effing Valley girl in it.
Oh, right.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And it was something I kind of noticed too. I'm thinking to myself, I'm saying like every other friggin' word. I hope no one noticed. And
Someone did,
two,
huh?
yeah,
Two
like
people.
two separate people literally said the same thing. They were
Hmm.
like, it was good, but you sound like an effing Valley girl in this.
That's
So,
good.
yeah. Kenny here makes a really interesting point. Really good question here. Could the infrasound be what's causing the woods to go silent?
Oh, it could be. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. I guess anything's possible. I guess. Not glad that
Absolutely.
that's a really excellent. This is one of those like, damn, why couldn't I have thought of that?
Yeah.
You know, because it's a phenomena that people commonly report. Well, whether Bigfoot related or not Bigfoot related. It's
Mm-hmm.
happened to me a few times. Just one
Mm-hmm.
minute birds are chirping and stuff like that. Bugs are going. Next minute, just boom, silence.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
yeah, definitely
Yeah,
a.
especially the bugs, man. You know what I mean? That's creepy when you don't hear any bugs. You're like, uh-oh.
I mean, one thing supposedly is the when the woods just go like dead quiet like that, like a good amount of the time it's it's really it's because there's like a predator in the area, but
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't necessarily mean it's like some big apex predator like bear
Right.
or sasquatch or something like that. A lot of times it could be like a hawk or an eagle, even something like a
Mm-hmm.
fox.
Yeah.
Creatures in the woods that might even be doing it in response to us because we're technically
Yeah.
apex predators. So
Yeah.
interesting. The Mitchell is everyone looking to weather and sound spectrum, like ultrasound. No idea, but again, that's really another good question. That might be a segment already there. Actually, could be something we could potentially cover in a future episode. So there's that. So yeah, unless you have any Charlie, unless you got any closing thoughts on this, I guess we'll move on to our next
Next topic.
segment. Actually, you want to fill
Oh,
up for like 10 seconds? So I gotta pull up the bumper.
what do you need to do? When you do a song and dance or something?
I don't know. Just say something about infrasound.
Oh, say something about infrasound, huh? About when I was driving along and then I felt like throwing up and they hadn't had anything to drink in like 8, 10 hours.
Too
Say
late.
something
Tech and innovation is now.
I don't know. Like, I'm going. It's very like it's very like hit or miss for me. I just feel like the pre-recorded show, the timing, it's great. The live show, I don't know. I'm very iffy on the fence about using the bumpers, but
All right. Well, the next bumper, then the next segment, then
well, we already committed, so we have to keep going through with it.
okay, let's do it then.
Yeah. But okay, so we got this thermal. So we got this thermal footage here that's been making rounds. Whole
Mm-hmm.
clip's about a minute-ish or so, so I'm just going to play it
Mm-hmm.
right here. So it's some type of thermal IR footage. It looks like it was taken overhead. Probably from like some type of aircraft, helicopter, or something like that. Shining down like some forested wooded terrain, and you could see a figure. You know,
Mm-hmm.
humanoid bipedal figure, two legs. Obviously, it looks like a Bigfoot. So this footage did some digging on it.
Mm-hmm.
It surfaced on the How to Hunt Facts by How to Hunt YouTube channel on a video that was published on March 16th. You're interested in checking out the full video, I have links to the video on the How to Hunt channel in the video's description. And it allegedly shows footage from a thermal drone recording of said figure walking through
Mm-hmm.
the air. Just play like some of the money shy of it one more time.
There you go.
So that's pretty much everything that in this recent thing about it. That's pretty much all that we were able to get from the backstory at first. Okay. So that is that. Okay. So, of course, like many pieces of content I get from the show, it made its way to the Bigfoot subreddit. And, in addition to how to hunt, when it made its way to the Bigfoot subreddit, that's really kind of where it, took off. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I was going through the comments, and that's really where I clarified, just kind of got the gist of the whole backstory about it. So that footage there, it was reportedly debunked by Cliff Barrickman, who I guess reviewed the footage and just immediately recognized it. So he said that the figure in question was someone in a suit, and they were filmed by a FLIR from a helicopter. But he said this footage, it was apparently used in a documentary that was filmed or came out back in the 90s or early 2000s or something like that. Unsolved Mysteries. I freaking love Unsolved Mysteries. Robert Saxton, man.
Mm-hmm.
I saw one or two of the new episodes of Unsolved Mysteries. It just, I don't know, didn't do it for me. It's Unsolved Mysteries without Robert Stack. It's like The Office without Steve Carell or The Golden Girls without B. Arthur. It just doesn't work.
Yeah, I gotta love B. Arthur.
Yeah. So, actually, real quick to that note, there's one episode of The Golden Girls in season 6 where Sophia's making fun of Dorothy, and she's like, "Oh, I used to call Dorothy Bigfoot," but
hey, I didn't the show, bro.
But that doesn't mean that I want her to leave tracks all over the Midwest. Hey, Cryptovania.
Oh,
Those guys in a while. Freaking love it. Freaking love it.
Tommy? Is that Tommy Jason?
Yeah, I remember we had just let the audience know we had Cryptovania back when we did From Behind Tall Trees. We had them on our podcast twice, and they're just awesome guys. They have great content, just awesome conversation. You guys missed. We were touching on Allegheny State Park, Allegheny National Forest before. Not sure if you guys caught that or not.
Right,
but
you never made it out to the tire shop. Maybe you're going out to the OBC, right? You're driving out to the OBC.
I sure am. Yep.
You going? I mean, because maybe we could stop on the way, the day before or something.
Oh yeah, it's literally around the
tire
way.
shop.
I'd love to.
It's a great place, man. Tom's got an awesome place there.
So anyway, getting back. So Cliff said this was from a documentary. It was made back in the 90s, early 2000s. And he said that it was basically from something that Peter Byrne did, showing how he had this helicopter, this whole setup, pretty much ready to film Bigfoot. It was on standby, ready to go at a moment's notice. And this footage was used by the production. So apparently, when they were doing Finding Bigfoot, Cliff said that someone ran this footage by them, and they were actually going to use it in one of the episodes, but Lauren Coleman recognized it and just let them know that, hey, this is where this footage is from. So kind of squashed that. So this footage, as compelling as it is, it's just one of those things. It really hasn't seen the public light in the longest time, probably enough to be largely forgotten by the broader audiences. So I don't know how the how to hunt. I don't know how the how to hunt guy came across it, but it's been out of the spotlight for 20, 30 something odd years. It resurfaced, was kind of like fresh eyes for a lot of people. So I'm really, knowing that backstory, having that context, I'm really not surprised that it, caused such a stir in the Bigfoot community.
Yeah, because there's new people coming to the community all the time. The younger generation, and everyone thinks, oh, I haven't seen this ever before. And they're like 19 years old. Well, of course you haven't seen it because you weren't alive when it was friggin' first came out. You know what I mean?
And that's one of the things too. I remember this is something that I spoke to with Brendan a few times and a few other people. Like there's some researchers and enthusiasts that they've been, they're bitching about, oh, why are there so many photos and videos that keep resurfacing, keep making just these cyclical rounds in these Facebook communities and online that so many of us know they've either they're either just well-known hoaxes or they've been debunked. And one of the things I said was, well, it's kind of like a double-edged sword. The silver lining is I think that's because we're seeing an influx of new people coming into the community. You know, a lot of these people are getting their feet wet. They're just eating this content up. And a lot of these people, they're seeing some of the stuff for the first time. And, you know, they don't know nearly as much about it as people like us do who've been, you know, around the block for a lot longer, for years. So, you know, definitely like a double-edged sword the way I look at it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. That video was kind of suspect though. Looked like, you know, it looked like a guy. It looked like me trying to, you know, rush back to the buffet to get a second helping of freaking prime ribs, you know? Kind of in a rush there. The arms kind of flailing a little bit. That's back when I was 75 pounds heavier though, not now.
Oh, well, you know, keep in mind too, apparently this, you know, was from like the 90s and early, you know, like late 90s, early 2000s. So, you know, I guess the quality of stuff really wasn't nearly as good back then. But I guess the other thing too.
Quality of the suit?
Yeah, just the quality of suit, special effects and stuff like that. I guess the other thing too, though. Go ahead.
I just, well, you know, you look at friggin' Chewbacca. I mean, that was in the 70s, right? I think there was definitely, you know, just a matter how much you want to spend on the suit. You know what I mean? So, I think
that's an excellent point.
You want to spend 10 grand on a suit, or you want to spend, you know, $150 on a suit?
I stand corrected. I think overall though, you have something like this, and then yet you have you know, Patty from Patterson Gimlin film, still, you know, knock on wood, withstanding the test of time.
Yeah, that's. I think you're right. We're going to the next one. Oh
no, we're still on this. So even though you know, this footage here was pretty much deemed a hoax, in my opinion, I still think it's worth covering for two main reasons.
Yep.
I think. Okay. Number one, I think it's, you know, I think it just goes to show just, you know, how much of an innovator Peter Byrne was back during his day. You know. Just the type, you know, just how much initiative he took. You know, he really was, he really was like a visionary with stuff like that. Just thermals, overheads, and so everything like that. Like, I wish, you know, back when he was more, well, you know, if only he was like 20 years younger back when, you know, thermal technology and the whole thermal drone thing, which I still think is, relatively speaking, it's still in its early stages, still in its infancy, thermal drone technology. But man, if, you know, Peter Byrne was like 30 or so years younger back, you know, around now, who knows what he would have been capable of doing. And I'm kind of embarrassed to say too, like, I don't really know nearly as much about the Four Horsemen, Peter Byrne, as I probably should.
Brendan was really well versed with them. He did a lot of research on them. Yeah, he has all their books. I mean, he was going to send me his books, but he never did. So I guess I'm going to have to go and buy them. But you know, the only things with the drone technology now, something that was interesting when we were doing that, and I'm going to reference our show again with Alex. Remember, we were in that wildlife management, and we weren't allowed to do the drones because of they're all protected, and like the national parks are all protected by drones, right? You can't really fly them over there.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's, you know, we have great drone technology, but you know, if there is big populations in all these big national parks and protected areas, how are you going to get drone footage? You're not going to be able to get drone footage unless they come on private property. You know what I mean?
I mean, there's either like there's certain like exceptions, but I think I feel like I heard somewhere there's like this new law like either that got passed or this new law that got revoked where if you're under like if you have like a crew under like a certain amount of people or something like that, you could either film or fly drones or something like that in these like national forests or national parks, something along those lines. Like I personally don't own a drone or anything like that, so I'm
that's
probably one of the last people to.
I would have a tree in the backyard and I'd have like 4 of them in there by now if I had a drone. So yeah, no.
And they're dumb expensive too right now. Like the cheapest one. Yeah, do you remember that one episode a few episodes ago, that thermal drone footage out of Washington? It was like a 2-parter. I first covered it in the report roundup, and then I did a You Decide. I interviewed the guy who took it.
Yeah.
Yeah, mad cool guy. But he got his. It was like 5,000 and change or something like that, and those are like some of the cheapest out there. So, but the same thing happened with handheld thermal, like thermal imaging technology. It was dumb expensive when it first came out. So now you can get some of these cameras for like only $200-300.
There was speaking of that, last year at the OBC, there was a vendor selling some the FLIRs and stuff like that for really good pricing. So I think I might I'm going to bring some money from my painting from Timothy, and maybe buy a nice FLIR or something.
Well, you're talking about the binoculars?
Yeah, they were nice. There was binoculars and the binocular ones there. They were sweet.
Oh, that's awesome.
For like $450 or something like that. Like, they're really good.
Yeah, because I like my I don't have a FLIR anymore. I have like an AGM and an ADT or something like that. Both of them are really good, but my next one I want to get. I want to get a freaking Pulsar.
That's gotta be big bucks.
Yeah, I want to get myself a Pulsar. They cost like, I think, like around like $900, $1,000 right now. But man,
oh well, that's not terrible.
Yeah, MSP. I'll just give you quick summary. So basically, this footage here, Cliff Barrickman apparently, someone posted on the Bigfoot subreddit about it, debunked it. Pretty much said like this is from an old documentary from the late '90s, early 2000s about this helicopter setup Peter Byrne had, and that pretty much explains it. But so the whole Peter Byrne thing, he's the friggin' man. Too bad he wasn't, in his heyday right now with all this technology stuff going on.
Yeah.
But that's one point. I guess the other one too is it highlights. We're kind of getting into this. It highlights the potential capabilities of utilizing thermal drones. So like to hear your thoughts on this, Charlie. People in the chat. What do you think the pros and cons are that thermal drone technology offers in the Bigfoot field, just as far as their ability to keep pushing the ball further?
Well, I mean, I think it's gonna, if the more people that have drones up and are filming stuff, it can actually like close the area where you have to research. You know what I mean? Because you got all these massive, expansive areas, and if you find like a sweet spot where there's a bunch of, people filming, these species, then you can concentrate on that area and not be, 15, 20 miles away from it. You know what I mean? So I think that would help out. I mean, you're still going to need a body to help, to actually prove it. But, as the technology gets better, hopefully they'll be more, refined. You know what I mean? The thermal footage, maybe we'll be able to be more definitive of what it is. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, I definitely think right now, if we're going to potentially get anything indisputable of a squatch, it's, I think thermal drone technology is probably like best odds for that.
Right. But then you're gonna have to have a team that's like right there. I mean, yes, have the technology and find it, but then you have to have like 2 or 3 teams that are ready to like boom, go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You just can't be like filming up there and then a week later show it to someone, because then you're like, okay.
Well, because I always felt like, I mean, any other person on any given day or time, if you're ever gonna have like, an alleged, Class A sighting visual of a squatch, it's probably gonna happen by pure chance. But if you are out in the field, try and document evidence or elicit, an encounter, interaction, or something like that, I feel like one of the things you have to do is just cover as much ground as possible. And thermal drones, they definitely let you do that. But like it's an eye in the sky, literally lets you see in the dark. But it's just like, definitely gives you like a huge potential edge. But I don't think it's, I definitely don't think it's something we should put 100% of our stock into, because, like as Lee said, as Lee says here, battery life is relatively limited. I think, at most it's anywhere from like, I think 40 to 60 minutes or so.
Right.
And, like it says here, they still can't see through tree trunks or dense foliage. I'm sure if you have like super humid days or super cold, like conditions where just trees or the terrain, it's all coated in the same temperature. It'll make it really difficult to penetrate through. And what you're saying too about like certain distances, that's possible, but I mean, like in theory, that's possible, but I think you might have to fact check me. I think drones have something called BVLOS regulations. That's beyond visual line of sight, which pretty much like for the most part, it's either for like it has to do this requirement, or maybe like it has to be say within like a certain distance, but where the operator can't see it. But the drone pretty much has to like be physically viewable in the line of sight of the operator.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I'm not sure it's that cut and dry, but I remember hearing that. And like
yeah, because you don't want them just flying everywhere. I mean, just that's that'd be like driving with that blindfold.
Yeah. And like MSP here makes another good point. Like if they notice one, it's possible they could just like duck for cover or retreat into the to the tree line or camp or something like that. And let's be real, like you're not gonna like a sensible drone operator, they're not gonna try and like chase a squatch into a tree line, because like those things are freaking sensitive. They hit like thicker limb or something like that, they're gonna spaz out, and that's that.
Well, if you're gonna do drone technology, you're probably gonna need like a team of 4 drones. You know what I mean? So if you do spot something, then you have another one come over. You know what I mean? So you're getting like 2 angles of the same thing. You know what I mean? So I mean, if you're gonna do it right. You know what I mean? Have some teams on the ground, and have 4 teams on the ground and 4 teams in the air.
I feel that. But just given like how expensive they are, that's currently a con. It's probably gonna be like a couple of years before they get anywhere near as cost friendly as thermals are. But
gotta get some sponsorship. Get that Jack Links to sponsor some.
Because let's be real, like average Joe's like unless you got like mad money or like mad financial backing, like the average Bigfoot researcher, they're not gonna be able to afford to launch 3-4 drones at once up in the air. And I think you technically need like a drone license in a lot of cases to even use.
I think so. Yeah, I think you're right. Well, I think especially if you're going to be videoing these areas that are protected, like the government areas, I think you definitely have to have a license. I mean, if you're doing it on your private property, I don't think you do. But some of these areas that are either government owned or shared space, you definitely should need some type of documentation.
Yeah, or just I even think in some cases like permits or something like that. Again, like I'm really not very well versed in the whole with like the regulations and everything like that for it. So
yeah. All right, you want to do the next topic?
I think so. Unless you got any parting thoughts on the drone technology, I think we covered it pretty adequately. Definitely generates.
I play the lottery every day, Mike. So if I hit, I'm gonna get a couple of drones, and we'll take lessons. We'll get certified. You and I.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. I gotta hit them 6 numbers first.
Generate some good conversation in the chat. So I'm going to.
Tommy, is he still there? Is Tommy still in the chat?
Don't think so. But we'll check right after this.
Pop culture news is now.
And look at that. MSP's comment made it in the bumper.
Nice.
All right, so moving on to this next topic. You probably know Charlie. I love my gambling.
Yeah.
So I found this. I found this article, betmichigan.com, and they basically released odds on all the counties in Michigan. There's like 80 something odd counties in Michigan. Which ones they gave odds on which ones had the best chances of seeing a Bigfoot.
Right.
So, top 5 counties here are Delta County plus 300%. Plus 300. That pretty much equates to a 25% chance. Ascota, and if there's any Michigan natives, residents out there, if I'm mispronouncing something, call me out on it. Ascota County plus 350, 22.2%. And yes, Nate, I think that was one of the things the article said. Most of them are pretty much in like Upper Peninsula, Northern Michigan.
Yeah, okay. They're all
Marquette plus 500, that equates to a 60.7% chance. Agamoa, depends how dedicated you are to that E in there, plus 700, that equates to 12.5%. And then Schoolcraft, that's plus 750, 11.8%. And then I guess, so, those 5 counties, and I guess all the other ones are at plus 750, that equates to an 11.8%. Now, they didn't clarify. I don't know if they just like individually allocated those odds and that percentage to like, all the remaining counties, or if that's just like the median average for them, because not for nothing, I'm sure the odds of seeing a squatch sighting in like Detroit compared to, some rural farming community where there haven't been any sightings are going to be vastly different. So.
Mm-hmm. Who knows though? You never know. Detroit, it's very diverse. Detroit, you could see a Bigfoot there. Right at Ford Field.
Yeah, there we go. So yeah, so it was interesting. I remember there was just like Betting Ohio website. They kind of did something similar with U.S. states. However, I got a bit of a bone to pick with this article. Here's why. I don't know how these betting Michigan people, I don't know how they made these calculations, but after like reading through the article, how they used it, what they used, I noticed a lot of variables that seem to, at least to me, seems to indicate that these odds that they came up with are actually very, very misleading, kind of skewed. So, they clarified in the article, all the info they obtained about the sightings and everything like that came from the BFRO public database. If you look at the BFRO public database, Michigan has in total 225 public reports. Well, guess what? Because remember, there's 3 tiers of reports. There's Class A, Class B, and Class C. Class A are your clear-cut visual sightings. Saw a Bigfoot. No doubt in my mind, that's what I saw. Class B are like, oh, I might have seen a Bigfoot. I saw a figure. Can't understand for sure. And then like everything else is kind of like parlayed in the Class B. No pun intended. So that's where you have your hearing stuff, screams, wood knocks, footfalls, smelling stuff, prints, any
they don't count tree structures in that, do they?
I hope not. I seen I was gonna say a few. I seen a few reports about mentioning tree structures, but I haven't really come across too many where they were like the main focus of. Or they're like the main focus of the report. Casper, Montana spent. Oh, sorry, I'm just reading this report here. Very interesting, Mark. But anyway, so yeah, and then Class C reports are like just anecdotal second, third hand accounts. Like someone reaches out to an investigator, they're like, oh I want to tell you a story that my friend told or a friend of her friend told. So non-first hand encounters, and just the fact, yeah. So obviously, Class A reports, the clear-cut visual sightings, those are like our most reliable, right? Out of the 225, though, out of the 225 total reports on the Michigan, public database or BFRO, only 99 of those reports are Class A. That's 44%. So less than half of the reports publicly posted on Michigan for the BFRO are Class A. Now, the top 5 counties that we just covered in the beginning, in total, they have 46 official reports. I think it's worth noting a few of them are like, like newspaper articles and stuff like that. But out of those 46 reports, only 22 are Class A. That's less than half. Granted, at 47%, it's, like above the whole median average for Class A with Michigan, but still, it's nothing too crazy. Nonetheless, that's less than half, okay? If you look at the way they calculate these odds, these people, like this betting site, I don't think they were aware or thought to consider that. I think they just like looked at the total number of reports for counties and just assumed that, they all mentioned sightings. Every report constituted as a Bigfoot sighting. So having said that, though, I don't think that the way they calculated the size, I don't think they were meant to like deliberately be misleading. Again, just most people besides like people like us who are really familiar with the topic, very well versed. When people see like database numbers and stuff like that, I don't think they realize there's always different tiers of reports.
Right.
How the majority of them really don't describe actual sightings. So I'll just give you I'll give you an example on why I think like how misleading I think this is. So when you look at Delta County, I think that's it's got the most public reports in Michigan. Okay, the article says the most recent sighting in Delta County was in 2018. Well, guess what? I look at that report. The report they're referring to, that's the most recent report that happened in Delta County. What is even sighting? It's a Class B report, and it only mentions vocalizations. So, the so-called sighting that they're referring to is a report has nothing to do with a sighting. Doesn't even mention a sighting. The most recent Class A report from Delta County was in 1997. So that's 28 years ago. In fact, out of the 11 reports in Delta County, guess how many were Class A? Well, you could see it on there, but only 2.
I can see.
Only two were Class A. And I think out of all the Michigan had like 80-something odd counties. I think like 45 or 46 of them, only out of all like the 80-something odd counties with actual Bigfoot reports in the public, BFRO database, public reports, like 40-something odd had actual reports out of the 80-something. And out of all those reports, out of all those counties, 12 of them had more Class A reports than Delta County. And in addition to that, there are like maybe about 6 to 10 other counties that had just as many Class A reports as Delta County too.
Sounds like you gotta missing your calling, Mike. You're the big betting guy. Let's do the CARC, betbigfoot.com, something like that.
Yeah.
This way you can bust out all the sightings and give actual odds, and we'll start taking bets. You'll retire by the end of the year. I think that's a move. It's the money move, Mike.
And yeah, just to clarify, like the BFRO is not at fault here. Like they had nothing to do with this misleading. But
it's just people taking the information, taking information and they don't know what to do with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So with that said, what I'm curious about is what are some factors, asking to you, Charlie, asking people in the chat. I have my own opinions on this, I'll save that for last, but if you're going to more accurately calculate these odds using Michigan as an example, which counties have the best chances of seeing a Bigfoot, calculate those odds, those percentages, what factors and variables do you think should be used to, calculate them with better accuracy? And then I guess the second question I have is just, seeing how skewed these, misleading numbers are, what are your takeaways on just, the role and handling of Class B reports in just, data collection, data analysis for, Bigfoot encounters, everything like that? Because, you know me, I'm a huge data crony. I love crunching my numbers. And if you notice, even going back to This Week in Bigfoot, whenever I do any data dives on Bigfoot encounters, like whatever angles I come up with, I only use Class A encounters because they're literally the only ones that, because they're the ones that they describe exactly what we're looking for, a visual, clear-cut sighting, like the witness, they believe, it seems like they believe this is what I saw, it was a Bigfoot. Yes, there are sightings in Class B, but there's a lot of uncertainty around them. So, that for me, it doesn't cut. So,
well, I think the Class B, I mean, the trackways and tracks, that should be like a 1A, like an A, 1A, you know what I mean? A Class A, AA, you know what I mean? And then B's should be the vocalizations and everything like that. Because track, I mean, those are, especially if they got the, the dermal ridge and everything like that, that's some pretty good evidence. You know what I mean? I think that should be, what do you think?
My only thing with the trackways, though, is, I mean, you obviously have to take it you obviously have to take case by case. Like, yeah, I've seen some
Right.
very interesting, casts.
Mm-hmm.
You've seen the one that Toby casted out near
Yeah.
his house last year.
Yep.
That one's even got the dermal ridges in it. Really interesting. But
Mm-hmm.
You got to take those case by case, in my opinion, because
Sure.
my thing is, technically, like, you can't indisputably determine it's a Bigfoot, nor can you rule out it not being a Bigfoot because, yeah, if you find the tracks, there's all these, like this checklist of, certain requirements and details that they have to satisfy,
Mm-hmm.
like the shape, metatarsal break, toe
Yeah.
splaying, obviously length, them being in front of each other, stride length, all that, yada, yada, yada. But if you don't you don't know for sure what made them, and if you don't know for sure what made them, then
Yeah, that's
you
true.
know
Good point.
in the context of like data analysis, in the context of like aggregate data analysis, like the stuff that I like to look at,
Mm-hmm.
it disqualifies them, in my opinion.
All right. Yeah.
I mean, like the only time I'll even like consider Class B reports is if there's documentation, but you got to take it on case by case. And like when I'm like doing something where I'm looking at 100, like a few hundred reports,
Mm-hmm.
especially for a show like this where like we have deadlines and stuff like that. I just don't have the time to literally sit there and look through
Sure.
just as many or more reports than Class A and just sift through them on a
Sure.
case by case like that. And even if there is documentation, I'm not just gonna look at it and be like, okay, that was good to me.
Mm-hmm.
I'd have to like, I'm leaving no stone unturned. I'm doing deep dives. I just don't have the time. It's just more, there's enough Class A reports out there where that it gives me a good enough sample size.
Sure.
And that's one of the reasons why I like the BFRO, like the BFRO database, because they were very well vetted, and even if, because this is what I personally think, even if like just Class A reports alone, at least 90% of them are BS or misidentifications. The information available on that database, it's a large enough sample. Like, there's enough there where even if that's the case, over 90% of them fall under those disqualifying categories. It still leaves you, I feel
Mm-hmm.
like, with a large enough sample size where you could still get some good numbers.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I mean, but it says Michigan Bigfoot sighting odds. So like you said, then just stick with the sighting reports. Don't even mix in the other two. The B's and the C's. But I think if they did just the A's and not use the other stuff, then the odds would drop tremendously. Then it'd be like then it'd be actual like
yeah.
what you and I know or everyone else knows. It's like 1 in a million. You know what I mean? What's the odds of you seeing it? 0.1. Or 0.0. You know, and that's not a way for them to get people to want to bet. So,
And I get
mean?
I get what MSP is saying here, but and like again, I guess it probably depends like the context of what you're researching, so
Mm-hmm.
definitely case by case. If you're doing something maybe like pertaining to like a specific location, I guess, but again, even for me, like I probably play it safe and just stick solely to Class A's if you're doing it for like data collection and data analysis with the whole Class B stuff. Like if you're doing it for something like about precise timing or times a day or anything like that. I don't know. I don't think a Class B is not specific thing wouldn't really cut it for me. Something more centered around like location, yeah, maybe. So yeah, like to your point, you do make some excellent points there about the odds chart, and yeah, that is true. Like if you just shape away all the Class B reports and just did it based on Class A's, yeah, the odds would be exponentially lower. But that wouldn't be. There would be other factors and variables I would work in to calculate those odds. I would just like I guess some of the things I would use would be Class A reports. I would do probably population density. In this kind, I would do Class A reports, population density, maybe forest coverage, and I try to maybe factor in something like how many population centers there are, and maybe factor in some, maybe factor in something else like
areas areas where there's people can actually access. You know what I mean?
Yeah, frequency reports. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was actually thinking about going through all those counties in Michigan. Trying to gather all that specific data for all 80 something odd counties in Michigan, and then run it through ChatGPT. Be like, I have all this data. I would run the data by how they calculated these odds here on their site, and I'd just be like, okay, based on how they calculated these odds, with all these Michigan counties, in addition to the Class A sightings, in addition to the Class A sightings, and like all these other factors like forest cover, population density, all that other stuff, recalculate these odds for me. But I just didn't. I was in a bit of a time crunch. Like that shit probably would take me like hours, so I just physically didn't have the time to do it, unfortunately. But
yeah, I
might though. I might at some point, and just
only if you have time. Only if you have time, brother.
To see, but yeah, like I was curious if there are any other factors that you think should be considered. Kenny here says water. I might take it up a notch. Maybe waterways or travel routes, like but then again, like every county is going to have travel, like potential travel routes, like rivers, creeks, power lines, railroads, stuff like that. Maybe mileage of them, greenways.
Also, maybe the industry, like if there's logging or if there's like what's up there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you got to factor that in too.
Well,
if they're deforesting, some of the area up there, then yeah, maybe the sightings will go up because they're chopping down trees and they're making their habitat smaller.
I mean, maybe, but maybe not, because like the one point I always like keep hammering is with Class A sightings, the vast majority of them, over 60%, at least according to the data I pulled from the FRO public database based on Class A sightings, over 60% happen when the witness is driving. They're very, very small percentages happen with other categories and stuff like that.
So then, which counties have major highways or major roadways? You know what I mean? Going through them, and which?
No, I get that, but even then, though, like, I mean, I would have to sit through the data, but I don't think that like a lot of when people are driving, they're not on like major highways. They're on just main roads, county road, those like.
Well, maybe you have roads that are cutting through like the dense forest. Maybe you have all that wilderness. Pick the counties that have like a major county road going through. The forest. So.
Definitely, yeah. Like there's definitely enough factors, variables where you could take this varying degrees of depth. Depends how accurate you want to be, but I guess for the most part, the factors I would use would probably be the Class A reports, population density, forest acreage, and what was the other one that I mentioned? Forest acreage, and there's one more, but
you said population density, right?
Yeah, population, yeah. Oh yeah, and I guess maybe frequency of reports. How many there have been in the last X amount? How many there have been in total? Since the database's inception, and how long it's been since the last one happened. I guess. So. Yeah. Maybe those, but yeah, I think we covered that pretty thoroughly. Any final thoughts before we move on to the report roundup?
I think you should definitely do the carc.bigfoot.com. Get on that instead of jumping down any more rabbit holes.
Yeah,
we'll get some income flowing into this group.
Sure, I'm sure there's like some. We'll probably get up one of those, like get a VPN, set up like an offshore account.
There you go.
Just I guess like the way we'll set that up is you have maybe like certain databases, and you'll just take bets on like which state or province or up in Canada or whatever the next Bigfoot.
Yeah, that'd be it. Take it.
Yeah. Okay, report roundup. Awesome. Very, very exciting. And there you are. Couldn't find it for a second. Okay, so we just have 2 reports here. It really wasn't anything. It's only been like a week since our last episode. There wasn't anything too crazy, but there were just 2 I wanted to touch on, just because I just like how credible they seemed, how detailed they were. So this first one came from BFRO. It was a Class A. Happened on the night of March 12th in Boulder County, Colorado. A witness claims that she was looking through her window at a residence and saw an ape-like creature. It was walking along a gravel road. She described it as about 8 feet tall with very large arms and legs. So we should all just use sports betting to fun. Yeah, I mean, that's probably, if we set up this CRC.bet thing, that's probably something we could potentially do,
We'll take bets on whether Aaron Rodgers goes to the Giants.
Well, the whole thing with the Bigfoot sighting. Wait, is that an actual rumor?
What? Aaron Rodgers going to the New York Giants?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. They've been talking. Well, he's got to go to, he's visiting Pittsburgh right now. But
You're serious.
Uh-huh.
Wait, they didn't have the draft in the NFL, did they?
Not yet. End of April.
Oh, okay.
I got all my draft books.
Gotcha. Anyway, so this sighting occurred near the foothills of the Colorado Rockies. It's about 11-ish miles north of Boulder, Colorado. Matt Moneymaker, he took this report. And the one thing I love about 2 things I love about what Matt Moneymaker has been doing with his reports. Number one, they're a lot more, they've been like, especially the ones he's doing, they're a lot more detailed. Like he's posting these maps here of the location, the location he's getting a lot more visuals. And number 2, the one thing I love that he's doing with the BFRO is he's becoming a lot more stringent. His standards are a lot higher about like there's like certain minimum requirements as far as like details are concerned.
Yeah.
These reports need before they're going to get if they're going to get publicly posted. So just those 2 things I absolutely love, and I think this here is just a great example, especially for people like me who, BFR was a great source for me that I use for like data dives and stuff like that. Helps because just makes it more credible, more reliable. So, but anyway, in his like assessment, Moneymaker said like this specific location, foothills of the Rockies. He said like it's an area where sightings would be expected during the cold months because he said like. He knows how this location, the time of year, coincides with animals coming down from like the upper mountains elevations to like avoid snow in the crazy cold weather.
Yeah,
that might include squatches, maybe the prey that they're, like the some of the prey that they follow or whatever. So, just thought that was really, really interesting. And we haven't really heard much coming out of Colorado. I actually think in recent years, Colorado was like a top 10 state for reports of BFRO. I think they've fallen down a few notches over the years.
Well, yeah, I don't know if they've fallen down or if other states have just picked it up more. You know what I mean? Like it's more aware. It's more aware in other states, and now their numbers are going up, and Colorado's numbers just kind of stayed the same. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel that. But yeah, so this next one here, this one here is this one here is a really interesting one from the Bigfoot mapping project I wanted to touch on as well. So this was a new one, and it supposedly happened in July 2015. The witness said that they're a New Zealander, but they lived in they briefly lived and worked in Okanagan, British Columbia, around 2014, 2015. I know MSP, he's a BC resident, so curious how far he lives from here and just what he might happen to know about that specific area. But anyway, the witness said he was camping in an area called Rainbow Falls. Again, MSP, if if any of these names stand out to you, about the area, chime in. And before this incident, he said he knew nothing about Sasquatch.
Right.
So the day of, before he had his actual encounter, he was hiking around the area, poking around a bit. He said, one instance where he felt maybe a strong sense of dread. I guess that kind of makes it that whole infrasound thing we just covered. And he heard a loud knocking sound. a wood knock. So he camped by a bridge at this bend, in a river. I think it was like right next to a road. And he noted in his like description of the report that see right here, his little dot on the map.
Yeah.
That's like the literal exact precise. He claims that's a literal exact precise location where he had his sighting.
Oh,
So
wow.
that's another reason too why this report caught my eye. So apparently that's like the exact spot.
Hmm.
You're looking now. Gotcha.
Hmm.
Yeah, MSP. Depending on how far you live there, we might have to send you out on a little like scouting expedition and have you report back to us. But anyway, so he said he was camping, went in his car, passed out. He woke up around 4 to 5 in the morning. He heard like a loud splash in the river, like someone was throwing rocks. So he couldn't get back to bed. So he went out, got his burner going, made himself some coffee, and he said he heard more like he heard more sounds coming from the direction he heard the splash, and he looked and he saw a large humanoid figure. He said it was about 50 yards away from him, watching him from like peeking out from behind a tree.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, Matt. Yeah, Matt. I forgot that you were in. I know you're up in Canada. Not sure if you mentioned like you actually live in BC or if you're just visiting there right now, but yeah, that's pretty. Yeah, Matt. This literally got posted on the Bigfoot mapping project like a week or so ago. Within like the last week or so. So it was a fairly recent report. That's why I decided to cover it. And so this is pretty much like his whole description of the thing. It was a really like extensive, detailed report. So he claims even though it was like 150 feet away from him. Wait, was it 150 feet or meters? Okay, yeah. So 150 feet away from him. He claims the figure was over 2 meters tall, huge head, trapezoid, however you say that.
Traps.
Word.
Just use traps.
Traps. Thanks for simplifying that for me. Muscles. He said it was covered in like dark brown, blackish hair, and apparently like he observed this thing for about 3 to 5 minutes. Didn't think it was a bear. He said he described the movements were kind of like mechanical, human-like, and very methodical. Not the first time I've heard those like those words to describe movements of Bigfoot. Apparently, though, as he was observing this, because remember he was right alongside a road, a truck came by and I think like waved at the guy. I forget if he says like if he honked him or whatever, but after he passed and did that, the thing was gone. So, again, I just thought this was such a very detailed report. It really like covers all the bases. I thought both the reports, were good like that. Unfortunately, because I didn't know how long this was going to run, so I figured, it's like our first run doing this in a live stream. Let me stick to like 2 reports because I know.
Yeah, we're already in there about an hour and a half. 45 minutes, brother.
Yeah, you're pushing 2 hours soon. But I remember like some of our
everyone is still hanging out with us. That's
oh yeah, for sure.
Appreciate that.
Yeah. I was gonna say I definitely appreciate all you guys. Who've been hanging out with us, watching the story. It definitely means a lot. So thank you. But yeah. So getting back to what was I saying before?
Being good reports, both of them being good reports.
Yes. Overall, just like two really good, just like textbook examples of like what just detailed quality reports look like, and especially too the fact that this guy like on the map posted the exact precise location of where his report was. I just thought it was great. And the first BFRO one, it was very believable. Like it happened from someone at their at their residence, private property, next to driving with Class A's. Right, like someone out like their residence or private property. That's like the second most, second highest as far as like the witnesses' whereabouts or like activities they were doing. So it was definitely very, definitely very, very interesting. MSP, if you want to like message me on Facebook or something like that, after I could still probably show you like exactly where it is on the map if you want to check out the exact location. Same with you, Matt. Definitely get some boots on the ground stuff with that there. But okay, so that was it. But yeah. So what I was saying too, I know with our report roundups, they're usually like a lot longer. We obviously do a lot more than just like 1 or 2 reports like that. Usually we're doing like 2 or 3 reports from different mapping project, whatever's available on BFRO, any other reports we find on Facebook, Reddit, if there's any good footage or images or anything like that. If something's good enough or there's like something old that recently got drawn up, we'll do a you decide. So usually our report roundups, like I think the longest one we've had was I think anywhere from 7 to 9 minutes.
Yeah.
But this is like our first run through testing with the live, so I just wanted to keep it simple. But
yeah, we might have to keep it at 2. We might have to keep it at like 2, maybe just 1.
Yeah. I mean, we'll definitely have to take it. There's definitely a few factors, variables will play, but we'll probably take it case by case for the most part.
Yeah.
I don't know how on earth we'll, if we do I'm sure we're able to do another live stream between now and June. If there's something like you decide worthy, I don't know how the hell I'm gonna figure that out. I'm probably gonna have to make a pre-recorded video about it and just play it.
Yeah, and then just talk about it for a couple minutes.
Yeah, give our commentary after, because there's a lot of technical stuff. There's a lot of technical stuff I'll do in those analyses that I physically can't do on a live stream, but cross that bridge when we get to it. So we're actually getting ready to wrap things up. Are you ready, Charlie, for your first live Bigfoot spot?
I am ready. You gonna cue the bumper?
I will in 3, 2, 1.
Bigfoot Spotlight is now.
Very excited.
All right, there we go. Ready?
All right, brother.
All right, so the first one we're going to be talking about is the Mount Hood Sasquatch Festival. That's going to be happening April 11th through the 13th at Mount Hood, Oregon Resort. This is the first year of this 3-day event, and it's actually got a really good lineup of speakers. It's got Cliff, it's got Dr. Jeff Meldrum, Michael Freeman, Clyde Lewis, and Mark Marcel. Also, the director and the writer and the star of the movie Sasquatchologist, he's going to speak as well, and he's going to host a screening of his movie. And I've heard some pretty good reviews of that movie. And let me just besides the screening of the movie, they're also going to have local vendors and local food there. It's going to kick off Friday on the 11th at 4 p.m. That's when the vendors are opened up. And then they're going to have a panel discussion followed by the screening of the movie. And then Saturday, it opens up at 9 o'clock with the vendors, and they're going to have speakers and meet and greets all throughout the day. And it's going to end at 7 o'clock. And then on Sunday, it's going to start at 9 a.m. and it's going to go up to 3 p.m. And then Cliff Brackman is going to be speaking on that day. So it sounds like that's a very Sasquatch rich, Bigfoot rich area. So, and they really knocked it out of the park with their lineup the first year. So, if you're in the area, I would, definitely try to get out to that. Too bad if they have it next year, maybe I'll fly out there. I mean, that sounds like a pretty good, that's I've always wanted to get out to Mount Hood. So, but let's keep it on the radar for next year, Mike. We're going to go out to the North American Bigfoot Center too.
I was going to ask, how many conferences are you doing this year?
I think I'm going to go to one next week. I'm going to go to the Penn, Ohio one next week, and then we got the OBC in the first weekend of May. I know we got Gwen's in August, first week in August, the Central Pennsylvania one. That's August 6th. And then I'm gonna actually try to get up to because I didn't go last year. You went up to Whitehall. That's usually in September.
No, I couldn't go this year.
You didn't go? You didn't go? I thought you did.
No.
That was okay.
Definitely.
I
was supposed to go with Alex. He couldn't go, and then something popped up for me last minute. So
yeah. So definitely want to try to get to that one this year, and then I've been itching to get to the Crypticon in Lexington, Kentucky for the longest time. Oh, and then we're going to the one like Toby's too.
Yep.
Toby's is in. When is that? That's in
October, Park City.
October. Yeah, so it'll be September, Whitehall, October, Toby's, and then November is usually the last one. The last big one is usually Crypticon. So I want to try to get to that one. Oh, Forest County one. Who's that? That's
yeah. I just want to pop this up. It looks like we got a little referral. What are the dates for that one?
New festivals. Oh, absolutely. We'll definitely promote you guys. I think I promoted you at the. I think I promoted you at the This Week in Bigfoot, but I'll definitely. When is it?
Yeah, Nate, drop us some info in the chat or in the comments, and I'll have Charlie. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll definitely. Yeah, that's right. It's a big one. It's a huge one. That's right, and that's right in PA. So yeah, I think that's another one we should probably make sure we get out to.
Oh, that's in Pennsylvania. Where in PA is it?
Forest County.
Right. I mean, what I should
Western PA. Western. I think it's Western PA.
Where in PA is Forest County is what I should have said.
I want to say I think it's Southwestern PA.
Oh, that's a geez. That's one of the hotspots out there.
Yeah. So. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. That's on the radar. I think that's what it's in July usually too. I think, right? So yeah, we'll spotlight and then we'll first go to Marionville. Yeah, that's right. Definitely on the list. We're gonna do it.
Oh, show.
All right, cool. So then the next one, let me see. Let me get to the next Bigfoot spotlight we're gonna be doing. That's gonna be the Great Florida Bigfoot Conference, and this is actually happening in a couple weeks on April 5th, and it's gonna be at the World Equestrian Center in Ocala, Florida. Now, this also has got a pretty good lineup. Well, it's got Dr. Maria Meyer. She's going to be headlining it. It's got a Biko Wright, Herbert Jim, Charlie Raymond, and, of course, your boy, Brian King Sharp. He's going to be there. And then RPG is going to be emceeing it, Mr. Ryan Golombesk. The doors open at 9 a.m. and it goes until 6. And you were actually at this one a couple years ago, right, Mike?
I was at the first one in 2021. Incidentally, that's actually where I met. That's where I met RPG, and that's where I met. That's where I met Toby, actually.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. That was in the summertime, wasn't it? At least it's this one's actually in April now.
Yeah, it was in like July.
July, yeah. I refuse to go to a Bigfoot conference in Florida in July. April, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
it is in June. All right, cool.
Yeah, fortunately, it was indoors. I mean, I had a great, awesome time, and I remember the speaker lineup was tremendous.
Yeah, it was a Cliff, and there was like a lot of
it was big. Cliff, Bobo, Stacy Brown was there. I'm trying to think who else. Cliff, Bobo, Stacy Brown. There were, I think, one or two others, but yeah, RPG ran a. I mean, RPG in general, he's a tremendous MC. He runs an awesome conference.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. He was at the Tennessee Bigfoot Conference last year when I went. They're the one in Smoky Mountain,
Oh yeah,
in Gatlinburg.
Where you and I.
He emceed that, man. He's great, man. He's such an entertainer, and just keeps everyone involved, and it's absolutely. So we have we've got like how many people we have left in the watching?
24.
Oh wow, okay. Oh really? I'm only showing 13. But yeah, so those two conference spotlights in the next couple of weeks, and then our next Bigfoot Journal, I'm going to be spotlighting OBC, and I think there's one in Tennessee actually too. But yeah,
actually,
June 6th and 7th, right? Oh, go ahead.
I'm on it says two different things. Streamer says 23, but yeah, here it says like on YouTube it says 11:10. So I don't know which numbers to. I don't know which numbers to believe. We'll just average it and say there's 15, 16.
Okay, we'll take it.
So
June 6th and 7th and 8th. That's doable. We can definitely get out there.
Yeah, definitely. I'd be down. I'd be open to it. I've been saying too. I definitely got to try and find time to make it out to more of these. Because you know what it is, it's hard for me. It's like part of me wants to go out, check out some more of these conferences. Because every single conference I've gone to, I've pretty much met really interesting interesting people, whether they're other
Mm-hmm.
researchers, and like a lot of the times, like people I'm still really good friends with or keep in touch with, like I'm still keep in touch with today.
Oh,
Like
absolutely.
at the same time, I think to myself, well, I could either do that, which awesome, great networking opportunities, but on the flip side, though, I'd also rather be out in the woods, boots on the ground doing research.
Yeah.
You
But I
know,
mean, like I said, so you pick and choose. I mean, you pick and choose. Like this, the Forest County one would be a great one to go to because it's somewhat local. You know what I mean? There's not, all you really got to do is put gas in the car and find a decent hotel, and the entrance fee shouldn't be that much. But then you go to some of the bigger ones like the OBC, like the one in Gatlinburg.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Maybe get out to like the Bigfoot Days or something like that. But it's about 4.5 hours from me. And I wonder if they're factoring in the fact that 80's closed. So yeah, it's not terrible, Mike. It's probably about 5.5 hours for you.
You know what? I think I just figured it out. The views I'm seeing on StreamYard, I think that's like
Hmm.
the aggregate of all the places it's streaming right now. It's streaming on Twitter, on Facebook, and YouTube.
Oh, okay.
That's like the aggregated, like all the different platforms it's on, like how many people are watching at once. So that probably makes more sense.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but yeah, to like everyone watching, obviously, if you have any types of, not to steal your thunder, Charlie, and this is usually your part, but yeah, if you have any
Yeah.
suggestions for like any type of content you want Charlie to spotlight,
Yeah.
uh, hit it up.
Podcasts, movies, you guys see anything? We got that book. I'm going to spotlight the next one that you suggested. Oh man, I was way off, man. That's like by Erie. Oh, that's almost by like that's kind of close to where Cryptovania is actually. Marionville. Huh. Yeah, I was way off. I said Southwest. I said Southwest PA. It's actually looks like Northwest. Whoops.
Actually, I don't know if I don't know if I told you, but the Park City conference.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I told you, but did I tell you that I'm actually gonna be emceeing it?
You are. Nice, brother. Good, good, good.
So
Well, let me know if you need me to help you out, man. If you gotta go to the bathroom, I can fill in for a couple seconds.
sure.
You know what I mean?
Have you have
I'll
you
wear,
thrown
I'll,
have you thrown
I'll
me a
wear
Zen,
my I'll wear my top hat. What's that?
have you thrown me a Zen off stage?
There you go. Throw you in, throw you some other stuff. I'll let you up some stuff. Keep your ship straight.
Yeah. Are you going to be, I know it's like ways out. What do you think you're going to be doing with that? You think you're going to be driving, flying?
To Park City, probably the Kentucky one. I'll definitely be flying. I think.
All right, no doubt. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think with that's like a day in a car for me, and then a half a day. You know what I mean? Like you definitely. I'm driving somewhere into middle of Pennsylvania, probably Ohio, and then sleeping, and then going the next day. So I'll just probably fly into Cincinnati and just because it's only like an hour from Cincinnati, right?
What? The Park City thing?
Yeah.
That's more of a, I don't know what offhand. That's probably more of a Toby question.
Okay. I mean, but it's not
I know for
15
me, it's
hours
like,
or
I know for me,
15
it's
hours in a car.
yeah, 14 hours.
Yeah.
14 hours it took me when I went last Memorial Day, but I broke it up though. I
Yeah.
spent one night. Well, I don't know. I broke it up. I spent one night in Pittsburgh, drove to Pittsburgh, spent the night there, and then um, I didn't go directly to Mammoth Cave. I went all the way
Mhm.
out to because remember I went to Land Between the Lakes (LBL) first.
Oh yeah. Oh, definitely.
Spent
If
the
you're
night.
out that way, you definitely got to hit that.
Yeah, and then that was only like 2 hours away. That was only 2 hours away from um, Mammoth Cave, so it was great. It was
Yeah.
like this is New York, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is Mammoth, like this is New York. This is Mammoth Cave, and LBL is like right here. So
Oh, so you have to
I
go
kind
way,
of
you
feel
go
like yeah,
past and then go back. Yeah.
and then driving, and then
No.
driving back. Driving back was a lot easier. Like it was only like 12 hours it took me, and like I just did 6 apiece. First
Mhm.
night I broke it up. First night I wound up staying in Morgantown, West Virginia.
Mhm.
Not really a lot going on there, but I know it's a college town. I was there Memorial Day
You're
weekend.
not going to. You weren't going to a fraternity party. You're just going to a hotel.
Yeah, yeah. Literally just one summer, just like to hang my hat and sleep.
Yeah.
And wash up, and then banged out the rest of the ride the next day.
Yeah.
Yeah, OBC though, we could probably like convoy.
Yeah, I rented a car for that because I'm just gonna try to keep the miles off my car. So I rented a car for to go to OBC. So I rented it on Thursday night. So even if you wanted to go, leave Thursday night, and then we travel, take off Friday and we'll go, try to get out. I think it's only like 6-7 hours. So maybe we go out, Thursday night and get close to maybe, where
Yeah,
Cryptivania is. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And we can visit them on Friday and then just take the 2 or 3 hour trip to Friday. Because you want to get there around like 4. Last year was such a shit show with, okay, I don't think they were staffed as well as they should have been. So it took me like 2 hours to check into the hotel because, check-in's at 4 o'clock and you got like a line. I don't think I got checked in until like 6 o'clock at night. But but just to have like a shorter trip, that on that Friday.
Well, I got to see because I actually have to. I mean, I don't know why we're discussing this live, but I've actually
we can discuss it later.
Yeah. No, because I got to see because my friend's parents that I go hunting with in Western New York, they live.
Mm-hmm.
They actually live they actually live in like northwestish PA, and they have my mount from the 8-pointer I shot this year. I still got my European mount, so I still got to get that. So I was actually going to stop there along the way to pick that up. So
all right, well, like I said, even if you have the caravan, you put
for sure,
your head in your car and
we'll play it by ear.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But I appreciate. I'm just going to go into the chat now. Thank you for sticking to the end here.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
You want to do the? That does it for the Bigfoot Spotlight. Might take us out.
That does it for the Bigfoot Spotlight. Mike, take us out.
All right, but yeah, looks like that pretty much wraps up our show. We're 4 times long, 3-4 times longer than we usually do it, but we really appreciate everyone who came through, tuned in tonight. So thank you for that. There's more information more information on everything we covered in the video's description. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe here at Untold Radio and the CARC. And if you haven't already, I already said that. Make sure to, I'm serious having the freaking script in front of me when I do the outro. But if you guys got questions, any stories you want to share, any ideas for stuff you want us to cover, make sure you just drop a line in the comments or shoot me and Charlie an email. Otherwise, for myself, Chuck, Chris, and Toby, I am Mike Luci signing off. We really appreciate each and every one of you for watching, and we will see you next time. Hold on, I screwed up.
You still doing?
We will see you next time.
Is distributed by the Untold Radio Network. All rights reserved.